2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the Rules Committee complying with our preference for this rule, which allows any amendments that were offered to be offered that are germane. And I just want to touch a little bit on a discussion we had in the Rules Committee yesterday about whether or not it makes any sense to have an open rule. There were a couple of members, one in particular, who said, oh, well, this is no big deal because, after all, this bill passed last year overwhelmingly, and it could have been done on suspension. And the argument that it is an equivalent to pass a bill on suspension and to give it an open rule if it is likely to pass by an overwhelming majority is deeply flawed, misunderstands the legislative process, and I want to make sure that people have addressed this. The important question on a bill may not be yes or no. There are a large number of bills that are going to pass. There are bills that are going to pass because politically they are perceived as impossible to oppose. There are bills that achieve a purpose that everyone is for. In many cases, and that would appear to be the case with this bill, the important question is not whether or not it passes, but in what form. That is, the amending process has a relevance and an importance whether or not the bill is ultimately going to pass. And when you rely, as it was suggested yesterday we should, on a suspension, as long as we know the bill is going to pass, because as members understand, a suspension does not allow for the amendment process, then you are constricting the ability of members to legislate sensibly. The question is not just yes or no. That, as I said, is a denigration of the legislative process. And having an open rule as opposed to a suspension means a number of amendments are offered. I'm opposing many of the amendments, as are my colleagues on the other side. I'm not opposing all of the amendments. Even where an amendment is defeated, remember, our purpose is not simply to stamp out an end result. It's to participate in the democratic process of discussion and debate. The process is diminished when a bill that is important because it is non-controversial is given only 40 minutes with no amendments. We'll talk more than 40 minutes. I ask you with 30 additional seconds.
I yield the gentleman an additional minute.
The gentleman has an additional minute.
We will talk for more than 40 minutes today. We will have some amendments. And so I hope this will stand, this process today, as a repudiation of the notion that it is an equivalent to pass a bill under suspension of the rules with no amendments and only 40 minutes of debate, and to go through this process of an open rule. Even though I expect this bill to pass overwhelmingly as it passed last year, this House, this country, this democratic process benefits. And, of course, this is just one bill. As a general rule, I would hope that we would not use the suspension process for bills that are complex, where members might have some difference of view, not as to whether or not the bill should pass, but in what form it should pass. This process today, I think, will show the superiority of the choice we are making under the current leadership of the Congress to go ahead with a more open debate than last year, when the question was simply, can we get the votes to pass, and if so, let's shut down debate, let's shut down the amendment process. That ill-serves democracy. Today is a much better way, and I thank the Rules Committee for it.
Gentleman, time's expired. Gentleman from Washington.